Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekend Rental, episode 119. We are your gaming and geek culture podcast. As always, my name is Ryan, and I'm joined by Andy.
Hey.
And Biff.
What's going on, guys?
Right. If you enjoy our podcast, please head on over to geekade.com, where you're going to find not only our podcast, but a great many number of podcasts over there on a variety of topics: music, video games, comics, and movies, so much more. Geekade.com, what's your geek?
Is it weird to say 119?
It's weird to think about.
I just started thinking, I was like, man, 119 episodes. That's pretty incredible.
Well, I just pointed out to Andy yesterday, in fact, that we've been doing this as of this summer for 5 years. Which,
Andy, I thought you said why.
That's a valid question.
I was like,
too.
119, isn't that amazing? You're like, why?
More than we can fit on two hands. It's impressive.
Feels like 2.5 years, 3 years.
It really does. Yeah, time flies, I guess, when you're distracted with children and craziness.
Do you remember what episode I jumped in on?
Was it like 35?
Really? Wow.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think how long Justin, it would have been about 1.5 years, right? Or close to 2 years. Yeah, I think we did like it was pretty early on, I think. Anyway, news. We rarely do this, but we actually are recording on the day that a Nintendo Direct dropped, or big news dropped. That we usually we're off by like a week, but it happened. Did everyone else catch it? Just me?
I did not catch it.
I watched it. Yep.
Okay. Well, let's just start. I'll just ask you this, Andy, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did this exceed your expectations for what you were expecting?
The RPG guy in me definitely was very satiated with this one. But they kind of teased a little bit, I think. And overall, there was nothing huge, nothing big, I guess. But
I agree. I felt like this thing, like if I was going to rate it, I'd give it like a strong 8, maybe a 7. But like, yeah, for like you're saying, for the RPG guy, you're getting, well, I guess I wouldn't call Fire Emblem necessarily RPG, but if they touched on some of that stuff, you're getting Xenoblade 3. You're getting Chrono Cross. Is that the one on PlayStation's getting ported? That's pretty cool.
Which that one comes with like a Satellaview bonus game in it, which is crazy. I didn't catch
that. That is cool. Yeah. And then we're finally getting on one console, the original Earthbound, which has been translated before and put on the Wii U, I think.
Yeah.
So, and then we're getting Earthbound along with that in the Super Nintendo. I really thought they might do it and then be like, and available to download today, Earthbound 3. I was on the edge of my seat waiting for that.
Well, that was the whole thing going in, because the guy that was kind of the main creator of Earthbound, he like tweeted out something like, hey, you should watch the Nintendo Direct today.
Yeah.
So then
I saw a few like Mother
was like,
4. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So everybody was just going just in a lather over this. And of course it was just, here's some Earthbound. And the funny thing is, like, Square is over there. They're like Live Alive never came out over here. So it's like a Super Famicom game. Oh yeah, we'll just remake that. And they've been doing that with all these old games, even like Chrono Cross. But there's been a few that never came out over here, and they're remaking them.
Yeah.
And Earthbound's right there. Like, if you're not going to do it, just have Square do it for you, then I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. It's a good opportunity to jump on that. Can we also like take a moment to appreciate the far too lengthy video trailering what No Man's Sky was? That game's been out for 10 years. I mean, I know it's gone places and it's a good experience now, but do we have to dwell on it? Was there anyone watching that direct who wasn't already familiar with what No Man's Sky is?
Yeah.
So, I mean, good. It's on the Switch, but
It's
Boy.
well, some of these things like they're advertising as like here's new to the Switch and a new collection, and it's like these are damn near retro games now, like Portal.
Yes.
Like the original Portal.
I know.
Coming to Switch is like that's pretty old now.
Yeah. And then some of the other ones they teased too, I thought were a little like meh, like Force Unleashed and stuff. It's like I will say I didn't expect, but I'm excited for that Klonoa bundle.
Yes.
That is long overdue because those games never get ports to anything, and they're exceedingly expensive to buy on original hardware. So that is a must buy for me. Did they say whether it was going to be physical or digital only?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't followed up on that.
Okay.
It is kind of weird how it's like the first one is a remake, and then they're just including the second one as a bonus, kind of.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen the first one like straight PlayStation port, and then it got a pseudo remake on the Wii, and then you had the one on PlayStation 2. So like, I'd have taken all those as they were. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you wanted to update them, that's fine. But I would like to have seen all three. And then as a bonus, if you unlock it, you could get the Wonder Swan version of Klonoa. I think that would have been cool.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be sweet.
That would probably get an English update before Mother 3 does.
And then I guess we can talk a little bit about what Nintendo brought to the table. Nothing overly exciting. Mario Strikers is getting a new entry. I think a lot of people will be excited about that. I've never played one. Everything I've heard is that they're extremely good and addictive. You know, given that soccer means a lot to everyone else, not in this country, but around the world, I expect that to sell well. We are getting Wii Sports.
Oh my gosh.
But with shuttlecocks.
Oh my gosh.
But it's called Switch Sports now, so it's different.
But the most important part of this is they finally killed the Miis. They're gone. There's no more Miis.
What do they use for it?
They're just
generic people.
Generic people. Yeah. So they're not using the Mii stuff anymore.
Oh my gosh.
And then they showed a new mode for Splatoon 3, which looked really fun, but like everything I know about those types of cooperative modes in Splatoon games, they come and go, right? Like, so they're demoing you a sample of a game that you'll be able to play on occasion if you buy the game. So who cares? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then we got probably the most exciting news for me. If you are a subscriber to the tippy top premium tier of Nintendo Switch Online, they are basically doubling down on Mario Kart 8. They're going to be releasing 48 new tracks for that game starting in March through 2023. So we're going to end up with like double the game, and it's just included it's just a DLC pack that's included with the online stuff. So I guess the sad news is we're not getting Mario Kart 9, but we're getting a massive
soon.
We're getting a massive DLC update on top of a game that already had massive DLC updates. So pretty cool.
Yeah. I was a little confused if the expansion pass is just for the first round or is it all of them?
I think it's the whole thing. I think it's yours.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
See, now if they were just upfront with that, like when they announced that and said, hey, if we're going to make all these expansions in the future, they'll probably come to this, you know?
Yeah.
Like in a Game Pass style, you get the expansions, here you go. But no, that's not how they announced it. It was just like, here's this and the Animal Crossing thing.
Yeah. Well, you know, Nintendo doesn't really think through online stuff all that well. So, yeah. So that was kind of the direct. It was pretty good. You know, we got stuff coming out soon. Advance Wars. They showed an updated trailer for that Kirby game. That looks good. Looks like there's a lot more mechanics to that than we initially thought. It's pretty cool.
What are your thoughts on swallowing a car?
I mean, I think it's weird that he can't like swallow the entire car and he just kind of like camps out on top of it, but I'll take it.
I mean, yeah, and it's just like a mini. It's like a Mini Cooper. It's not even like a real car.
No, Kirby should be able to eat that straight up. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else notable.
Kirby's got a kink that I'm not quite sure what.
That'll be the next thing, the next Kirby game, like Kirby XXX, and you're just like in an S&M dungeon, and he's like swallowing chains and like
oh my gosh,
dildos, and it's gonna be great.
That's the kind of Mario game I want to play.
It sounds like a reality show.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was exciting. And then we might as well talk about the other hot topic. The news just dropped. Big news. Everyone's favorite console. It's coming out 2022 or possibly never. Intellivision. They're back.
Yes, finally.
They Tommy Tallarico stepped down as a CEO, which seems like the thing you do when you're the majority owner in a company that you really believe in is going to put out an actual product and not be a miserable failure. So that's happening. And then they decided they're going to do a third round of fundraising to try and raise between $5 to $10 million. And they disclosed their current financial statements and predicaments. And they owe about $8 million. And even with the $5 million that they would get, they only have enough revenues to stay on current course into July of this year. So that's really going to happen. We're getting that console soon because I'm sure people read that and are like, take all my money.
Yeah, they even hinted at the notion that the console might not come out, right?
The console that they sold games for in October is probably not those. That's probably the best investment those people ever made because those games are not going to be worth a fortune. Well, in comparison to what they paid for them to start with, in reality, they're going to be worthless. But yeah, that is not. I don't think that is not coming out. Nobody's getting that at this point. No one. Right? It's dead. Right?
I think so. Like I was not ever on that side. I was like, I think it's going to come out. I don't think it's going to really catch on or do anything. But I think they were going to make the product. And boy, they're in pretty rough state. I think.
Yeah, I mean,
that happen.
The way they laid that out in their current financial situations, there is, even if they get the money, they have 6,000 pre-orders. There is about a 0.000000001% chance that they could produce hardware and it would ever sell enough units to recoup or make a profit. There's just no way.
No.
It's horrible.
And like, what do you even do on the other end of that to try and get any type of money back, you know?
Yeah, I think with this, you just cut your losses. I think you fold the fact that you are going to make a console and you just go the Atari route and you start slinging Intellivision t-shirts and Pitfall. Well, you can't do that. It's Activision, but you just start slinging merch to like Target. Like, hey, here's this shirt we'll license to you. Sell it for $12, please. We'll take $1.50 on that.
I want to walk around with an Intellivision t-shirt. I feel like that would be completely irrelevant to like, you know, Atari makes sense. I feel like Atari just has that mark. And so when you see an Atari shirt, you're like, yeah, that's...
The art is better on Atari usually,
yeah, that makes sense. Instead of just a word that says Intellivision.
Yeah, I mean, I was an Atari kid, and I wasn't aware that the Intellivision existed until the 90s. So that tells you something. I saw one for the first.
Excited about it though? Like,
no, 6,000 pre-orders. No,
but I've never met someone that's like, I remember the Intellivision. Oh man, I loved it. I've never heard that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's a valid point. I mean, it was a good console that was a fair competitor to the Atari, but it was just a footnote for most people, right?
Yeah. In
the same way that the Coleco is. Like, the Coleco is a great console, but it just didn't get the market penetration that Atari got. Like, Atari just became, you know, synonymous with video games. But this might be the last up. Well, we'll have to give the final update when this does officially crash and burn, but this seems all but done. No, it's not happening.
I mean, it was supposed to be out by now, right?
Yeah, it's going to be like the Amico
3 times.
And now it sounds like they just don't. It doesn't even hardly exist.
Yeah. Well, that was the other part that I loved. They selected their manufacturer and then have lost $1.5 million that they can't account for inventory for this manufacturer to allegedly build this thing that they'll never get back or get the parts for.
So you think that they should join forces with the Amico?
It is the Amico.
Was it?
Yeah,
well,
the Intellivision
now I
Amico.
feel stupid. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dang it. I was going to make a really funny joke.
Oh,
we can still workshop
maybe. What are you thinking, Biff?
It's too late. It's too late. It's not going to hit anymore. And when I said really funny joke, it's probably not that funny either. So.
Well, now I'm on the edge of my seat.
Man.
What was it?
I didn't know it was the Amico television. That's how much I care about this.
And that's the right level of care to give this. So
yeah, I don't give a rip.
Hats off to you.
Do you think so? Tommy still works there though, right? He's just
yeah.
He's not.
It sounds like conflicts of interest because he was very excited about his video game concert series, so he really had to focus on that and couldn't worry about the dumpster fire of a non-existent console that he had to run. Yeah, it's just I don't think he wants the headline of CEO of Intellivision announces bankruptcy and, it won't be his name. I mean, he'll be in the headlines, but it won't be his name immediately attached to it. So, yeah. How do you piss away $11 million and then need $5 million more and have nothing to show for it?
Yeah. I mean, look at it's not that much more complicated than the At Games thing was doing,
Think of how many kids in third world countries we could have fed with $11 million. Tommy's a monster.
That's hilarious.
I don't know.
Plus, they don't get the affordable games now either.
No. The only console that has affordable, simple, family-friendly games. Yeah. I don't know.
Like, do you think every one of these will ever hit? I guess, the Atari VCS did come out, but
yes,
for all intents and purposes, it's gone.
Correct. Other than fast. You can buy it at GameStop, but online, yes, it is gone.
But I don't think any of these are. If they come to market, it doesn't land. So
yeah, and even the Polymega that's finally shipped, everyone's like, it's here, and I doesn't seem to be setting the world on fire.
Yeah. I see more about the Evercade stuff more than I thought I would, but
yeah. Well, that's actually doing well. It found its audience.
Yeah.
That is actually, it's done right. They built it cheaply. They didn't reinvent anything, and they're partnering with indie studios. They're not just doing retro collections. Yeah. That thing seems to have found its market. It doesn't need to be on store shelves. It's doing well. It's kind of amazing. I don't need one, but they're cool. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have some pretty breaking news too.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys saw this.
Are you having a baby?
No.
Oh.
No, not that. No, definitely not doing that. So the news that Futurama is getting rebooted for a second time now.
But they kind of almost ruined the show with the last reboot.
Yeah. So I don't know what they're going to do.
Where's it going? Straight to Adult
Hulu.
Swim? Okay, Hulu. Oh, that's all right. Original voice actors, all that?
Most of them except Bender, which seems like the one you kind of need to have.
Yeah, the most iconic voice. He's still doing voiceover work too. He's been doing that Disenchanted stuff. Why isn't he coming back?
Yeah, I don't know. He's probably doing other stuff.
Huh. Do they have, is it
That
one season is ordered up?
The Disenchanted is also Matt Groening stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just Netflix. What's the difference?
Yeah, I don't know.
I did not hear about this. When does this drop?
I just saw the headline, so I didn't read too much of the details, but
Okay.
thought, wow, that's interesting. That's like the only time I've ever thought of something that has been rebooted again. Are we
Or brought
on
back from
second
the death?
rounds now?
Well,
Yeah.
the Family Guy got brought back 3 times. They got canceled, brought back, then canceled and brought back again.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they got canceled twice.
Oh, okay. I remember the first time, and then it
I
was
think
like on
the
Adult
second
Swim
one-
for forever.
Yeah, the second one I don't think actually had an interruption in like airing schedules, or not much of one, because it was like not a big thing. But yeah, that first one was like a 2-season gap. But
Yeah.
Futurama's a great show. It's better than The Simpsons. It's better than Family Guy.
Yeah.
That's your humor. I like it. It's a smarter show. You know what I mean? Family Guy's just like cutaway jokes.
Yeah, very much so.
Not that it wasn't funny for a while, but you can't do like, I don't know how many seasons that thing's on. I don't know why it's still on the air, but
I've never seen an episode.
the first 3 seasons in the original run before it got canceled are the best by far. You can pretty much just leave it at that.
Yeah, but even then, I think if you watch them now, you would be like, okay, they're the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's just
It's
so
only
much
because
of that.
they were fresh at that point, you know?
Yeah, now everybody's got a freaking animated show on their network.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. I mean, I guess it's cool to see more Futurama, but I don't know. I thought they kind of did it dirty at the end of the last run, so.
I don't know if I ever saw the Comedy Central stuff when they brought it back on there.
I watched most of it. I didn't watch it all. I know that. Just didn't feel the same. I watched like, you know, obviously when they did those specials leading up to it coming back, like I watched that stuff. Was that through like Adult Swim and Cartoon Network, I suppose? And
yeah. They had a movie too, maybe? I don't remember.
yeah, I think it was like 2 or 3 movies, kind of like that Stewie's one. And they might have turned them into episodes later. Might be the same story. I don't know. But huh. Well, that's interesting. And surprising.
Yeah. So are we on the thing where we're going to start getting second reboots of everything?
I mean,
after the first ones have
kind of seems like it.
Yeah, that would be, I don't know.
Either of you guys, I was watching the Vest Lord on Twitter the other day. They were talking about that Lightyear. Did you guys watch this Lightyear trailer from Disney Pixar?
Oh gosh, that's so weird.
Why? Why do we need to make Buzz Lightyear a real person in an actual space program? Who the fuck wants this?
It is so bizarre.
It's stupid.
Cinematically, it looks pretty cool, but
sure,
it's really hard to. I mean, you're dealing with 4 movies with Buzz Lightyear in it.
Yeah, with the Tim Allen voice.
With the Tim Allen voice, and so when you go ahead and just change everything up with the voice and even the look, that's just not what we picture a Buzz Lightyear. So weird. It's so weird, but very interesting that they would make kind of this story about him. I thought that was just a really interesting pull. Out of all of the Disney characters, that's the one that they were like, or the Pixar characters, that's the one that they chose, which is so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a bizarre move for me. I mean, what's next? You're going to have a movie featuring Slinky Dog and it's just going to be about a wiener dog? I mean, he's a real dog now. Like, cool.
That's Ernest goes to
gosh.
Ernest goes to daycare.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, that's
Slinky Dog.
Are they just throwing out all the canon of the cartoon show then? Because there was a cartoon show that's true. Buzz Lightyear's show, and it was all about Buzz being a real thing.
Yes, that's true. It's a good point. Yeah, it really does kind of ruin the canon. I wonder if they just weren't feeling pressure canon. Because like all the Pixar stuff lately has just been like these weird, like human, like introspective, like looks at emotions and depressions. They're like, Disney's like, fuck you, make something about a toy, make it cute. And they're like, we'll meet you halfway. He's not a toy now. He has emotions.
I think it's the other way around. They wanted to do something like that and make like a real cool story and, you know, like really realistic. And the Disney's like, well, we got to tie this into something that we already have. Make it Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not on board. I was old enough that I didn't get emotionally attached to Toy Story because I was old enough that ship had sailed for me. So I have no lasting memories or appeal to any of those characters.
But are you? I mean, like, this just seems like a totally different thing. Like, I don't know how it would be nostalgic for that anyway, you know?
You don't think they're trying to tap into that? You don't think they're trying to get like the 32-year-old parents who are like, when I was a kid, Timmy, Buzz was a toy and they went on adventures.
Why does someone in their like 30s all of a sudden sound like a 90-year-old old man?
They had problems. Meth was a thing in their early 20s. Most of the teeth are gone. They live in Alabama. I mean, it's been a hard knock life for this guy.
Oh my
He's just trying to teach Timmy about I'm an idiot. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like they're making another Toy Story. It's just a name recognition only, almost.
But they know that they can make a toy on it based on the toy from Toy Story, and just like, I don't know. Like, we already have all these figures at our Disney parks. Like, he can look different, but not too different. So we're still going to sell the old thing.
Plus the whole moral of that story is like, you are who you are, right? Not what people say you are, or what you're,
yeah,
what
you're
other
right.
people
He's
think
not even an astronaut.
Right. He has to accept himself as a toy. Yeah. And now we're just like, no, he was a real dude.
Yeah. I'm going to be the one guy who says I don't like it. I don't like where they're going. I think it's weird. Not into it. I mean, I'll watch it because I got kids and it's going to be on Disney Plus, but I'm not into it.
If this leads to like Larry the Cable Guy, like as an actual truck, I'd be all in for that.
That's hilarious. Mater.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an actual tow truck driver. I like it.
I'd watch it.
Yeah. He'll be hired to drive up to Canada and start hauling trucks out of Ottawa so that they can get back into the capital. That's the story. Pixar, if you're listening, $1 million idea. Great. Yeah, I don't know. It is a weird thing to think about. Like, are they now going to go back and double? I mean, if this is successful, how many more things are going to bring back like this and just reinvent?
Yeah.
I'd rather they do this, though, than the live action complete remakes that they have been doing. So I'll give them that. But
yeah.
I mean, you think that they would just pick Woody and put him in a movie like Brokeback Mountain? Cartoon version of that?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's already got the name for it.
Exactly. That's where I was going. It's good.
I like it. I'll go for it.
I have, it's kind of a long story, so hopefully you guys can bear with me. But there's a young boy that has eyes for my daughter.
Oh God, I thought it was going into. I thought this was a To Catch a Predator spin that I wasn't looking for. But okay, good. I like this.
All right,
continue.
So let's.
I feel much better.
So there's a young kid. He's a redhead. You can't trust them. And
cut that out.
Yeah. So we are a household that, she's not allowed to date at all. She's too young.
How old's your daughter right now?
12.
Okay, you probably already said that. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's one of those things that there's definitely limitations and they do things as a group. And so it was a Sunday. They were planning to do a group outing, and my family was going to tag along and just let kids have fun. And by the end of all the conversations and planning, it turns out just being this kid and my daughter. I feel like that was very strategic, but they were like, "Hey, Dad, can you take us to Kingpin's, which is the newest bowling alley / arcade / bar in the Fargo area?" And I was kind of curious about the arcade anyways. They really talk hype to it. So we went, and I was not happy about it. I wasn't happy that this kid was with us. And It was really weird, but as a dad, I said, okay, I'm going to respect this, and you guys can do your thing and play around the arcade, but just know I'm everywhere. I'm watching you. And so even moments that, like, he knew I was watching him. So there was moments he was like standing in a corner and he'd like turn and look right at me like, oh yeah, that guy's crazy. And so I was excited to check out this arcade, and it turns out just being a big ticket monster.
Chuck E. Cheese. I heard it was super expensive.
Very expensive. Very disappointing. Like they do a lot with VR now. So there was a Beat Saber machine. There was, I can't remember what different VR experiences.
That's a good call. Stick your face in something during a pandemic.
Yeah, disgusting.
Smart.
Disgusting. I did not let my kids do any of that stuff. It was disgusting.
Well, you have a VR. Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
That's very hurtful. But there was, like skee ball. I do like skee ball. That was fun. But then
I believe it's pronounced skabal, but Swedish.
Yeah. And they did have like the Mario Kart machines.
Oh, really?
And, yep. And they have like House of the Dead in there. So there are some classics,
Halo machine?
some good ones. Yes, they do.
Nice.
So there's some decent stuff, but mainly it's just get as many tickets as you can. One of those situations.
Sure.
And so it wasn't really that exciting for me to go. It was disappointing. It really felt soulless. We just have these experiences with arcades where you're expecting something like Galloping Ghost or whatever it is.
How much of your disappointment was rooted in your blind rage that your daughter was on like a pseudo date, though? I mean, did that affect this at all? Let's be honest.
100%. If I went back with the right people, I may have had a little more fun.
If I was there by myself, it was
obvious when he was playing.
Yeah, so I would have been just making it rain with tickets all over, just swimming in them.
It was obvious when you were playing like House of the Dead and the gun was pointed at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dad, so, you've already lost. I'm busy.
So the story dives a little bit deeper now.
Oh my gosh.
Where in my blind rage, I had a moment that I was just frustrated. I didn't like the way he was looking at my daughter. And they had a punching bag machine that tells you how hard you can punch, like whatever, like pounds per.
Did you really flex your dad muscle and try to like show this kid up on this machine?
Yeah, you know where we're going with this. So I have this card that you swipe, and I just looked at him and I was like, "You think you can hit hard?" And then, I hardly said anything to him all day, and he looked at me and he's like, "No."
Is this kid also 12, I assume?
Yeah.
So you're intimidating a 12-year-old. I love this.
I know. And he's terrified of me. And he's so scared of me. And I don't know. I just was blinded by rage.
I've been around you when you're around adults that you don't like. You're not, I wouldn't say subtlety is your fine point in those situations. So I can only imagine like the vibe you were giving off to this kid. Like,
I wasn't pleasant. I'll be honest. He knows it too. So I swiped the card.
Yeah.
And I was like, hit this thing. And he was like, I was like, hit this thing. I need to see how hard you can hit. And he's like, oh, okay. And he hit it. And it was like 150 or something like that. Pounds per whatever.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like shrugged, like, and then I was like, I swiped again. I was like, now I'm going to hit it and I'm going to see how hard I can hit this. And he just like stood there like, what's going on with this guy? And in my mind, I was like, this could go really bad where I'm going to miss the bag and punch the kid or just whiff it and try to act tough. What am I going to do? So I was like, okay, just connect with the bag. And again, blind rage all of a sudden kicked in and I swung it as hard as I could and hit this bag just dead on. the whole machine just rocked. And it was like 980, like, and so the number was just going up, and the kid's face just looked terrified. And I looked over at him, and I was like, oh, I guess I can hit a little bit harder. And he walked away with my daughter, and I shook my hand. It hurt so bad. But
I'm amazed that you didn't just like turn to him and like scream, "Come get some."
Do you smell what the rock is cooking?
And just flex, and then like a crippled hand, like detour to the hospital on the way home.
So it was like, now that I like recap everything, it's so funny how it went down. But I was so serious, and we get in the car, drop this kid off, and my wife is like, "So you really did that, huh? Why would you do that?" And she was watching this like, "Why? What are you doing?" And now he knows my balls are bigger, and he needs to.
He doesn't know that. All he knows is you can punch a machine harder. So
I can punch a machine hard, and I think that's a new highlight, being a dad.
Well, good for you. I wouldn't to let my daughter go with him, and I wouldn't have gone with to let her go with him. So you're a bigger man than I am.
I did have a very strong speech afterwards, and I was like, this will not happen again, and you will always go as a group, and I will be there. So,
God.
With my bag.
With my punching bag. Oh, man.
You're going to be on one of those TLC like shows in a while, because you're like going to be the dad who was like so overzealous that his like 15-year-old daughter's like eloping to like Alabama.
Shut up.
Like, I love him, Daddy. Again, with the voices, your daughter doesn't talk like that, but
no.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Oh man,
you want to slow your roll, because they're going to get older and more hormony, and you're going to need to reserve that 900 pounds for that time. Like,
just throw a punch down.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about this kid.
Because they're going to punch harder than me, so I need to like state my claim now.
At the gym, bro. You'll be all right.
Oh my gosh. So there we go.
That's fun.
My story of an arcade. The arcade was weak, sad.
Punching machine's broken. It's a real bummer.
Yeah, punching machine's out right now. I don't know. It's just so sad now looking, this is what kids think of an arcade as now. Just ticket machines, like Space Aliens or Chuck E. Cheese.
See, I don't think kids even think arcade. I think kids have parents who think arcade, and we go and bring them along, and they have fun. But I don't think kids are like, my kids have ever been like, let's go to the arcade. Not like we were.
Yeah.
True.
There was a lot of ticket shit when we were kids, though, too.
Yeah. We just grew up in like butt F middle of nowhere, so we didn't have that stuff.
Yeah. There's a lot more of the like Street Fighter and fighting and, racing and all that stuff that was a little bit more popular. But
Neo Geo. Yeah.
I don't remember the ticket stuff, honestly.
I mean, there was always the Chuck E. Cheeses and stuff in the bigger towns, right? Like Showbiz Pizza.
Yeah. Showbiz.
Can I ask you, what was the like redemption like store like? Was it quality or was it just garbage?
Actually, I was pretty surprised with what they had in there. Obviously, they have the really like the classic. You have 40 tickets. Here's a ring pop or something like that.
Yeah,
but they had quite a bit of like gaming memorabilia too. Being like they had a PlayStation. They just like a PlayStation clock and like video game coffee mugs and pop culture stuff like the TV show Friends. They had like some board games, and so there definitely was some things for adults or somebody to connect to, but then a lot of like candy, trinkets, stuff like that. And
I think it's nice when they have options, because I've been to some of those ones where it's like an off-brand, not sort of big chain thing, and like the redemption stuff is just awful. Like you could jackpot like 1 million tickets and you're gonna walk out with like a pack of gum. It's like there's nothing to spend the money on, so that's cool. I mean, that's better than Chuck E. Cheese and all that sort of stuff.
By far, I mean, it's spread out, which is kind of nice, so you're not on top of people,
right?
So you can kind of have your own space, which is kind of nice.
Can you confirm for me? Because I've heard tales that the bowling is the type of bowling where the pins are set up on strings. Did you get a look at that at all?
So the bowling has been packed in there, right, and they've been booked out for an entire day. So when you go in expecting to bowl, you're not going to. You can't go until the following day or whatever. So it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
From my understanding, and I couldn't really see just because there was a ton of people over there. They say it's like a very interactive. Yeah. So it's not like traditional bowling.
I heard there's like lights you have to hit and like bonus points are bouncing off railings and stuff. But yeah, I just didn't know if it was on the strings or not. Cause like I've played those alleys like that at places like that and they are on the strings, which like makes their like setup simpler, but it also changes the way the pins fly, which kind of, but I guess that's not the point anyway, right? It's not traditional bowling, but.
Right.
Can they like remove pins manually then? Like, can they go above, like set up a split for you, or is it just always like bring it right back to?
Yeah. Well, I suppose they can control which pins. Yeah. You'd probably be able to, but yeah, you don't have to go back then because you just like fuck with the machine and yeah. And they work just fine. It's just a lot different pin action in my experience, I guess. But I mean,
it's just weird that traditional bowling now is like not a thing. How do we capitalize on bowling?
We got to make it better. Yeah,
we got to make bowling better.
Got to make the balls rounder.
Yeah, no holes in this one. No holes in these balls.
Yeah.
Huh.
So.
Yeah, our local pizza ranch opened up an arcade. Now.
Yeah, so did ours now. The Fun Zone.
Huge.
Yeah, I haven't been in there though.
Interesting choice to do during a pandemic. Like, people are eating out less and shouldn't be touching a bunch of stuff. Pizza Ranch has a solution. Come sit, eat buffet, and touch everything.
No, you know how much grease is on those hands? They're fine.
That was my first thought when Pizza Ranch started doing that. Was like, all of their shit's greasy as hell. The fried chicken, everything, which is delicious, by the way. But like, those machines are going to be so gunked up and gross compared to like even a Chuck E. Cheese. Because like a Chuck E. Cheese, there might be a pizza on the table, but we're talking about like rows of like greasy, hot, steamy shit that kids are going to touch. It's not good. So have you been to this?
No, I haven't been to it yet.
Okay.
So.
Same location there? Or did they move?
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if they just added on or what.
I was going to say they were pretty well full, but yeah. Yeah, they got the one right across from my work and the sign's been up there, the Fun Zone. Like, well, I'll get over there one of these days. I feel like
I'd be curious what they have, as far as games.
I'm sure it's a lot more of the ticket stuff than even what you were saying. I can't imagine they're going to have a lot of traditional stuff. But who knows? Those are the things that I wait for, like summer around here, like go on a Saturday in June when everyone is vacated to go to the lakes. It's like perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Boba Fett. Anybody else watching this? Just me?
Haven't had the time, but
okay.
Maybe someday.
Did you like The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Okay. You'll love the end because it just turns into The Mandalorian.
Okay. That's what I've kind of assumed, that people have like, oh, this just kind of turned into that. Yeah.
It continues on. Yeah. The best Boba Fett's at its best when Boba Fett is not in it, is what I will say. And it's much better with Mando and Grogu. And they really upped their deep fake game to the point that I can't really tell that I'm not looking at like 28-year-old Mark Hamill. He speaks a lot and it has a lot of screen time and it looks disturbingly good. Like, I don't know why we need actors anymore. Good. So that's cool.
Who do you think is going to be the first like major movie star that dies and like continues? Like,
yeah,
like just like signs over their life and their like rights to be in anything.
Schwarzenegger, for sure. Right?
Yeah.
He's got to be.
Bruce Willis. That's my vote.
Yeah, he's topping all the Razzies. They had to make a whole category for him. The worst movie or the worst Bruce Willis movie of 2021 because he apparently had like 9 of them.
Really?
I mean, if you could tell him he can be in a movie, get paid, and not even be there,
it's a pretty good gig. But then there's the other half is like, well, what are they going to make me say? You know what I mean? You got to have that in your contract. Sure, Mark Hamill loves it though, right?
If you're like winning Razzies, I don't think you're worried about the quality at that point.
That's fair. Sign over your likeness, they said. It'll be fun, they said. Yeah. Yeah, really good. I think the final one in this episode, the final one in the run, this first season run dropped today. I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard there's more Mando stuff. And to be honest, the first 3 or 4 episodes that didn't have the Mandalorian in it and were Boba Fett focused, I didn't have nearly as much problem with as the rest of the internet seemed to. It was still all fine. I mean, there's some questionable stuff. Like, there's a speed bike chase that looks like a 90-year-old lady in a cane could walk through and it'd be fine. But other than that, yeah, check it out. And especially like if you're a Mandalorian person, like the couple episodes that really focus on him are pretty awesome.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, at this point, you almost have to assume anything that Disney is, it's just like going to cross over into everything else and be intertwined with everything.
Yeah, they own everything at this point. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, there's some other ownership news too.
Yeah.
After the Microsoft purchase, guess who bought Bungie? Certainly not out of spite. Sony. Yay.
Yay.
3.6 billion only. Yay.
Awful.
I mean, fine. I guess is kind of how I look at that. Like, fine. I knew they worked closely with Sony on the design of the PlayStation 4 controller, and so there was probably a good relationship there. Destiny 2 doesn't seem to be like, I'm sure that generates good revenue, right? But like, if they want to do a new IP, it's probably nice to have a company that has a lot more money. But other than this potentially adding online exclusive games to Sony, which is not their strong suit in-house, I don't really know what this is doing for them.
Well, I think that's what they said was they want to use their expertise for live game for creating, service games. And that worries me a bit.
Because they haven't necessarily nailed that.
No. And that's like, it seems like that's not even what they're going for at this. They haven't been, with like Horizon and all this Last of Us. They're like very, very expensive single player games, and that's it. So
yeah, and Destiny 2 doesn't like, that has a high fall off ratio, right? Like, I loved Destiny 2, but the type of people who come back for the grind and the updates and the expansions, like, that's I mean, don't get me wrong, we're still talking millions of people, but that's not as many people, right?
I refuse to believe those people that are still doing it are having fun doing it. I feel like they're compelled to do it.
Yes.
They're just
yes, exactly. And that is what Destiny 2 turns into by the end. You're like, well, there's more to this, but I don't want to do the things you want. Like, I'm just jumping through hoops for the sake of a number count. Like, it is not enjoyable.
Yep.
It's work, people. It's work.
Just spending like 2 hours at a chance that something might drop that's 2% better than the thing you have.
And yeah, and you have to hope that the raid doesn't like glitch on you. I mean, there's so many problems with those sometimes. Yeah, I'd argue that Bungie has figured out how to make that work with Destiny 2, but that I would say that is still not Bungie's strong suit. Bungie's strong suit is making a very good narrative, solid experience. And they've added legs to it with Destiny 2, but that's not what I like about Destiny 2. It's not what I like about Halo. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people left Bungie.
That's true. Well, I mean, how couldn't you? Because they've changed their structure and their ownership and how much, so much over the years. Yeah,
and a lot of people went to 343, when they broke off from Microsoft. So, yeah, I just love the near miss, though. Microsoft buys Bungie. Bungie leaves, acquired by Activision. Like, just leaves Activision. It's just like that whole thing, man. Crazy.
Yeah, it seems like they want to do their own thing, but also want the money. It's like you can't have both ways, I think.
Right. Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it seems like, well, everybody starts out that way, right? Like, no, we're going to let them do their own thing. But I guess maybe they'll be able to do that for a while because Bungie 2 still does bring in a bunch of revenue. So how mad can Sony be if like they're working on whatever, as long as the money train's still built in?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's also weird to me that Bungie 2 is a free-to-play game. Like I just can't think of it. Yeah, I just can't think of it like that. Like I know it is, but it wasn't for so long. And yeah, you're right. They won't pull Destiny off of multi-platform. Not going to happen.
No. It sure sounds like Microsoft kind of made the pseudo announcement that Call of Duty won't be exclusive either, like the big ones.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
For now. Now.
Until it changes.
Yeah. You been playing Stardew Valley?
Yeah. So my wife played it a couple years ago, I would say. All the way through. She loves those type of games, the Harvest Moon, all those farming games. And since then, they've added co-op. So multiplayer, just split screen, build your own farm together type thing. And man, that game is so deep compared to other Harvest Moon games. It's on a whole other level, Kind of crazy the legs that game has had. I mean, it's been out for I don't know how long now.
Forever. I've been hearing about it for years.
Yeah. And it's got one of those things where you think you're almost to a spot and then it's like, no, you just scratched the surface. There's a whole other thing you haven't explored, and it's pretty cool on that front. It's much more than a regular farming game, but
nice. So how long do you think you can keep playing that game? Could it be like a daily game that you just continue on forever?
Oh my gosh. So I don't know if we've ever been in kind of where we're at right now with games, because we've just burned through It Takes Two like crazy.
Uh-huh.
And this thing, it's been every single night for a couple hours. I mean, even today she was sending me like YouTube videos on, we need to do this for our farm.
And then you sent her Pornhub videos and like, this is what we need to do in our room.
And then I'm like, well, we got podcasts tonight too, She's like, well, that means we can't play that much. So it's just been, and I've kind of been the same way. I've been pretty obsessed with the game too, but she's on a whole other level, especially for somebody who's played it already.
Well, that's pretty cool though. You guys can get into games like that together, because I certainly can't do that with my wife. Doesn't happen. Yeah. Luckily, my son will tolerate me scolding him for playing poorly longer than my wife will. Mm-hmm. And my son's getting better at games than I am.
Yeah, someday he's going to hit that bag harder than you. So
that's right. You know what? The rematch this Sunday, I bet my son can outpunch Biff already. At 8 years old. Let's do a throwdown.
Let's go, man.
Throwdown.
Let's make our kids compete.
Yes.
And then we bet in the backgrounds.
Yeah. I was just thinking about like it'd be fun to do a video where we all did that, and then I just realized that like my punching arm is so effed from the times I've broken it and the shoulder separation that like I would probably do more permanent damage trying to do that than it'd be worth.
No, the challenge would be your weak arm.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We can do that. Yeah.
I'll hit with my right arm, which happens to be the one that I got rebuilt, and then you can use yours. And then we'll take each other to the ER.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure it won't end poorly. I won't be in crippling pain by Monday. The joys of getting older.
Yeah.
I took it off the topic list because the topic list got long, but we might as well throw it in here because we're kind of cruising through. Biff and I played a game that he asked me to like download forever, and then he's ghosted me since. We haven't been back to play it. So I don't. But we played. I'm just kidding. What did we play? What's it called?
Generation Zero.
There we go. I was thinking Ground Zero. That's how memorable.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. It's like what I don't know. What would you say it is? Like a post. It's like an alternate reality set, kind of modern day-ish. Like the course of history changed after World War II, and Sweden decided that it didn't need to be invaded again, so it just invested heavily into military defenses, mostly robotic. And then like you can imagine where that went. So now you're just
it's a game set in the 1980s, and so very like synth heavy driven music.
Yeah.
And then you go around trying to figure out where everyone's at, what's happened. And
looter shooter.
Yeah. Hunt robots at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's first person?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And you can play online with up to 4. So yeah, you could download it and jump in. It's
Is it up to 4? I didn't know that.
I think you can, well, at least 3. I thought 4, but yeah, it's I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a great game. It's like one of those games that's like perfectly broken in just the right way, where like it's jank but still fun, and
like you can chuckle at. I mean, part of the game is the map is huge. First off, like the map is ridiculously huge.
We played 5 hours and just didn't leave the starting area.
No.
Wow.
So I mean, it's a massive game. Or I mean, it's not super deep though.
No, but I think that I think the massiveness is what the appeal is, right? Is like I wanted to keep going to see what we're going to encounter next. Like, what new enemy are we going to find? Like, what thing over here are we going to run into?
Yeah.
So does it kind of have like a Borderlands play to it, where you're just constantly switching out guns? And
no, it's actually really hard to get different guns. It's really hard to get attachments. It's really hard to get ammo.
It's a grind. Yeah.
So it's almost like this like resource management, and like you have to play it as stealth as possible for the most part, because the AI is incredible. I mean, granted they're robots, but it's unfair. Like enemies can spot you from probably like 2 miles away off screen, which is absurd. And
they're zipping you with their guns.
And we would have like these moments of zen. But then we also had plenty of moments where like one of us would just be like not talking and just like ping off a shot at a random enemy. So then just totally screwing the whole situation, which makes it honestly pretty fun, because then we're both like scrambling, trying to figure out what the hell to do. But
and you have to create traps. So like you have gas tanks that, okay, we're going to set an ambush, throw a radio down, and then the robots come in because they're like, well, what's this noise? And they come in, and then you shoot the tanks and they blow everything up. But there is a lot of brokenness to it. There's so many vehicles in this game that you can't drive. So there's vehicles everywhere. You can open all the doors, but you can check all the engine compartments. All you can do to get around is walk or create a bicycle.
And the bicycle's worse than walking. It's slower. It goes to a third-party person perspective, and it can't do anything other than flat concrete. It's
so janky.
And it's pointless because like you never go on the road because the robots follow the road. So like I don't even know why they put bikes in there. It's like the worst choice.
If you just want a good laugh, pull back on the joystick and you're like riding a wheelie just across casually the screens, and oh man, it's so funny.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a Game Pass game. I mean, I think it's been out on PC forever. There's a new expansion I think it's dropping for it this month. And I've heard the expansions are supposed to be pretty good, but that is definitely a game that is going to be acceptable by yourself, but just play it with another person. Like it's much better. So yeah, maybe we'll get back into that. I had an all right time, and we went on a 5-hour run. So
yeah, it was fun. It was, I played a little bit on Monday with another group, and they play so different. And I mean, not to be weird, but I prefer playing with you, where we're like, okay, let's strategize. Because you
didn't call me on Monday to play the game, but
yeah, shut up.
Not butthurt at all.
Well, I put an hour in, and you and I are still further. It's just one of these things that you and I strategize and say, okay, let's do it this way, or we're going to creep the entire way. And these guys are like, guns blazing, let's go.
Nope.
And you get destroyed. and so you play with 3 guys and they're hitting the ground. They're like, oh, I'm dead. And then you respawn, run back out. I'm dead. It's just, I don't like playing that way. No. I like to be very strategic. So it gives you that reward. Like, okay, we played this right. Now we can move on to the next.
Well, I'd argue that the game teaches you pretty early on that isn't the way you should play. So like, it's funny that they haven't caught on to that.
I hate it.
I like playing it as a stealth game. Like when I was like, I played as a stealth game and you're like, me too. I'm like, okay, great. Like this is gonna work out just fine. Like, you gotta overthink everything in that game. Cause like one wrong, like alarm robot. And the next thing you know is like, you got 50 dudes on you and there's no chance in hell you're surviving.
Right. And they don't show you or tell you where a weak point is. You have to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So we realize that they carry these like fuel cell tanks on their back. So you got to get them to turn around so you can shoot them. And so, I mean, it's pretty strategic. With a map that size, hopefully I can get through the game with you before it leaves Game Pass.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking of too. But yeah, well, we should put some more time into it this week or weekend. I'll be around.
Absolutely.
Because I would like to get onto the mainland because we're still on that like adjoining island that isn't hooked onto.
Right.
And it's a decent game graphically and gameplay wise. I will say like the aim down sights and stuff feels a little looser than I would like, but it's fine for what it is.
Yeah. We just got to figure out crafting.
Yeah.
All of that kind of stuff still.
I'll check it out if I'm allowed to leave the farm anytime soon.
Yeah, for sure. Well, at least install it. Then you can jump in our game and we'll show you the ropes. Because I don't think you're not missing much in the way of story on this thing. I mean, basically the initial setup kind of explains it all. I don't think I've gotten any nuggets that have really, in the 5 hours we put in since, that have changed my understanding of any of this. So
we did find you could play the game in English instead of Swedish.
Yes,
that was nice.
That was a good find. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I can finally understand what they're talking about.
I don't have to read now. This is fantastic. Yeah. No, it's pretty cool. I mean, again, one of those games you would never touch if it weren't on Game Pass, but it's worth looking into. Since we're talking about reading, I would normally have Biff do the reading, but like some of these came in postal format this time. We actually got emails and stuff and letters and things, guys.
Yeah,
not from Google telling us how to increase our security. So,
what about the ED medicine?
Well,
we still got that, right?
I'm still trying to lock in that sponsorship. They said we need video evidence. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that
Extends.
So let's start with email. I'll read. I'm not gonna read the actual names, but so we got an email here. Hey guys, the truth here. For anyone who doesn't know, maybe I think you guys know the Dude Lord and the Truth podcast over on Geekade, or it was. I think they kind of are on hiatus. He also does some streaming with Vest Lord again from Geekade. So he goes on to say, I gotta say, I'm catching back up on episodes. I'll be honest, I fell a little behind, but I'm going to touch on some of the episodes I've listened to recently. So first off, I gotta say, you're gonna love this, Andy. I gotta say, the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins by Leonard Nimoy is an absolutely amazing song, and really the whole albums he actually has out are all pretty fun to listen to a few times.
Okay, well, I'm definitely gonna check those out.
So there's 2 fans out there. This is amazing. And then he also said he was yelling at his phone in hopes that we would hear him. He was trying to tell us that Andrew Garfield was the middle and worst Spider-Man up until we all finally managed to remember it. So he said, I guess I'm just that kind of geek, to which I replied to him and said, like, yeah, I was yelling at myself listening to that playback. So,
you're a little biased just because of his last name, though. So
that's true. It does not help. Anything he's in is, oh, damn Garfield, arrogant cat.
It always comes back to that orange cat.
He says, and lastly, for now, would you like to find out how you can upgrade your Google account security? Of course. So he said, anyway, hopefully I'll be fully caught back up on episodes here soon, and maybe I'll send in another email that it's actually tying into more recent topics. But until then, look forward to hearing more from you all. So thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the email.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I was watching those guys play Diablo 2 the other day on Twitch, and it looked like a lot of fun. And then I got like physical mail here. So how this
we got
what
mail?
Yeah, mail.
We got mail.
So how this came about was Biff and I were going to send off a care package to longtime listener and supporter Cestus. He goes by on the socials, and we offered to send that off. So I reached out to try to get info. He's overseas and let us know that where he's at, you can't really get packages. It's not reliable through the whole postal service, and stealing packages off of doorsteps is apparently a big problem. Suggested we didn't do that. Said he can get postcards, so we went the postcard route. And leading up to this, Cestus, if you're listening,
so he didn't want that PS5 we were going to send.
Yeah, he didn't
right?
need that PS5. It's fine. So I did send postcards off, but I sent them off earlier this week, which is the week that I also ended up having to get your letter. We didn't forget about you. There are 3. Sent 3. Hopefully you get them all, but if you don't, know that there were 3. And let me tell you,
Midwest.
Yeah, let me tell you, picking out interesting postcards based on North Dakota. Good luck finding one that doesn't have a bison on it. Like I tried. You can't do it. It's not,
or a grassy knoll.
Yeah,
that's about it.
You finding anything of interest or with human civilization on it in a postcard that also has North Dakota on the front is not a thing that happens. So options are limited. But anyway, going back to that story, in doing so, he also asked for an address for us. Sent an envelope. I got with 3 letters. I haven't looked at any of them. I got one for Nate, Biff. But anyway, let me read the letter that he addressed to. It also came with a cool picture of Leon Tower. So that's pretty cool. It's like this little postcard thing. I'll show you guys sometime when you're over. But he sent this letter.
Do have cameras that you can hold it up to.
Oh yeah, I do have it. You're right. We are on camera. I can hold it up. You guys can enjoy the pixelated quality of. Let me get the glare. No glare.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It looks like a little Polaroid. I like it.
Yeah.
So that'll go
on. It looks
on.
a lot nicer than North Dakota.
It looks a lot more populated for sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, he addressed this one to the Weekend Rental podcast crew and its listeners. So this one goes out to all of you.
This one goes out
This
to
one
the
goes
ladies.
out to us and our wives. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to read this. It's a big letter, and it's dark in here. Great penmanship, I got to say. So to the Weekend Rental crew and my fellow listeners, I wish you all a good and safe 2022. I sincerely hope every single one of you were able to cope with the hardships some of us must have had to face in the last year. I don't know what he's talking about. Was there something going on in the last year?
For Toys R Us closed.
Son of a bitch. Yeah, that's right. That really hit home. For those who might have felt alone or in despair, you are not alone. Someone's thinking about you somewhere and hope for you to be okay. I know I do. So he goes on to say, I wish you all an amazing year, 2022, and to have an unlimited amount of fun playing video games and just being the geeks we are. Nice opening. I like that. Very positive.
Love that.
And then to the whole Weekend Rental crew. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for being.
This is when it goes downhill really fast.
You guys are the worst. Thank you guys for being here for us and sharing this content that we enjoy so much. It's always fun to share our passions and your slice of life together. I know sometimes it's hard to create content. It demands a lot of effort and time away from other things, but believe me, your listeners appreciate this time. I know it always makes my day. And then he goes on to say, finally, I encourage people to send more emails to the podcast and share their own slice of gaming life and other geekery, which, yes, great. And then I love this as I'm looking at it now. Now, let me ask you, do you buy, rent, or burn 2021? I think that's a question we can all answer, but what do you guys think?
So do we compare it like 2020, 2021, and 2022 by rent burn?
I think you can just look at 2021 and decide.
Oh,
does it matter if you compare it to other years?
Yeah, I would say it's a rent for me.
It's not quite as burniness as 2020 was, but
right.
Yeah,
I would say it's a rent. bring it back, when you're done with it. So
I'm not buying this year so far, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't burn it, but yeah, rent for sure. It's a rough year, especially in this country. Ugh, maybe I'd burn it.
I don't know, man. I've had a really good year.
Did you?
Yeah. I would say like last year and this year overall, I just feel really good.
I had a good vacation.
Like personally, it was not worldwide or nationwide.
He's on your side.
Yeah. Personally, I feel that I had a pretty solid year, pretty good year. And I'm learning what's most important in my life. And so that's pretty cool.
Salting 12-year-olds.
Punching bags and scaring 12-year-olds to never come around my daughter.
So yeah, I don't know. Pretty awesome. Awesome to get some.
Yeah, that's so good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for taking the time to write letters to us idiots. It's
and I love that dude. That he just everything that we do, whatever video, whatever podcast, you're just all in and really appreciate
plus,
that.
I love his Twitter feed too, and like just the games he's playing, like the little.
Oh yeah,
like he's touching on stuff that I never would have even heard about, and then I'm like, I'm gonna Google that thing and look it up, and so much PC Engine and import stuff. Like it's just again,
that's where I learned all of the cave shooters. So that guy set me up for those.
Oh yeah,
nice. Yes, and hopefully those postcards make it. I'm gonna warn you right now, my penmanship is not as good as yours, so good luck. I mean, you can read it probably, but maybe. I mean, I didn't write on him. It was Biff. His bad penmanship.
I have beautiful penmanship.
Damn it. All right. Yeah. The jig is up. Well, I don't know. We just go out on a high note with that?
You can't top it.
No.
You can't top a letter like that. That's
letter.
Good stuff.
The listeners should try, though.
Yeah, they could.
Yes. Keep on sending them. Send those emails to us. We want to hear from you.
I mean, you don't have to be nice. Like people write in and they say nice things and make like mostly positive comments. Like you can write in and tell us where to shove it. Like that's fine too.
Yeah. We'll read if you want to tell us how to upgrade our Google security, send it. So make sure you're sending those emails to us. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure you're following us on social media as well. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. No, we don't have Instagram. Still don't have that.
No. We can almost stop plugging our podcast or our website at this point too, because like we don't use it anymore, really.
Yeah. Well, this is the time I actually wasn't going to plug the website.
Oh, really? I'm sorry. I brought it up. I feel so embarrassed now.
You really ruined my flow here. But don't go to our website. I mean, I guess you could, but go to Geekade. Go to geekade.com. Go check out all of the awesome content on there. And of course, you can catch us Weekend Rental there. Thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, friends, be kind. Rewind.
It's over 9,000.
I'm going to the Pizza Ranch Fun Zone.
I'm going to go make love to that punching bag.
Can you imagine the stories that kid told his parents when he got home?